Hi everyone, it's Monica, and welcome back to Tailor-Made Cards for You. Well, today is the start of 12 Days of Fun. Scrapbook.com is hosting 12 Days of Christmas. And what that means is for the next 12 days, anytime you purchase something from their shop, you're going to be qualified for a freebie. Now, the freebie today is this great Texture Fades embossing folder from the Tim Holtz collection. In this folder, you get two wonderful embossing folders. One of them is this wings embossing folder, and then the second one is this swirly background. Now, what I thought I would do today is create the wings card, but I also wanted to show you a card that I created using the second embossing folder because this freebie is fantastic. Now remember, it's only for today, so if you want to get this as a freebie, you're going to have to go over to scrapbook.com and purchase something today to qualify for your freebie. So let's go ahead and get started and create this really cute Christmas card with wings. Now the embossing folder is like any other embossing folder, but it has some really great details. Now you could easily create a card where the wings are on the panel and you don't cut them out. But I thought it would be fun to cut out the wings and attach them to this paper doll and then use that as my focal point on my card. So to begin, all I did was emboss my white paper cardstock through my Big Shot. Now I wanted my paper to be a little bit thicker because if it was too thin, then if you're familiar with embossing folders, sometimes it cuts through when there's a lot of fine detail. So I did pick some cardstock that was a little bit thicker. And then once I had a nice impression, I went ahead and took out my mini tonic scissors and fussy cut around the wings. So once I finished fussy cutting my wings, I decided to color up the wings using my metallic distress crayons. Now, if you're not familiar with these metallic distress crayons, they come in a packet of 3, and the color that I chose to use today was the brushed pewter. I wanted the wings to have a little bit of shimmer, but I didn't necessarily want to add any glitter or any wink of Stella. So the brushed pewter distress crayon was a nice alternative. Now to add the distress crayon to my wings, I simply just went around the edges, and then I took my finger to rub in the color. Now I also wanted to add some of the color to the front of the wings. So again, I just took my distress crayon and rubbed it over the embossed portion of the wings, and again took my fingers just to rub it in. I didn't necessarily want it to be perfect because again, if you know my style, you know I like to have grunge. So I did want it to look a little bit grungy. Alright, so once my wings were completely colored in, I did want to add my little girl to a frame, and this will also help to secure my wings. But before I did that, I wanted to show you a little trick that I have to color up some of these paper dolls. If you're a fan of Tim Holtz, you've probably seen many people color up these cute little paper dolls. They come in black and white, but you can easily add some color to them. Now there's a lot of ways that you can do this. I know that some people use some of the distress markers. I've also heard people use distress crayons, and I've also seen people use watercolors. But this is the easiest way that I have found to do it. I just take this little dauber, stick it on my finger, and then I grab some of my distress ink. Now I haven't tried distress ink yet. This is actually distress oxide, and this seems to work really, really well. The one thing that I would caution you though is this is ink. So like any ink, you do have to set it aside to dry. And if you end up rubbing your fingers or rubbing anything over the newly colored portion of your paper doll, the ink will rub off. So you might want to color up some of your paper dolls and then put them aside for the ink to thoroughly dry. One thing that I had to do throughout this actual video is I had to go back and retouch the coat because I was working with the paper doll and my fingerprints tended to get all over the wet ink. But it was easy enough. Like I said, all you need to do is put it aside to dry and then the ink will set in. What is nice about the ink being a little bit moist while you're working with it is if for any reason you do happen to get some of the ink where you don't want it, you could easily take a paper towel or a nice rag to rub it right off, and the ink comes right off until it's actually set. Okay, so the next step was to take my ATG gun and adhere my wings to my oval. And then from there, I simply took some of my foam tape and centered my paper doll over the wings. Now, my original idea for this design was to create a Christmas tree ornament. Once you add your paper doll to the center, all you would need to do is add some twine to your oval, and this can easily be turned into a Christmas tree ornament. But since I'm not putting up a Christmas tree this year, I decided to actually turn this into a card. Now, I'm not being a Scrooge this year. As you probably have heard me say in some of my other videos, we are in the process of a move. So it didn't really make sense to put up all of our Christmas decorations just to have to pack them up soon after. And additionally, over the holidays, we are planning a European trip. So it just didn't make a lot of sense this year. So instead, I decided to turn this into a Christmas card. I wanted it to be very angelic and shiny, so the Deco sheets that I'm using for my background were a perfect addition to this. This is the first year that I've actually used these Deco sheets, so I wasn't really sure what to expect, but I really like them. They are just like paper and they adhere to your cardstock really easily. I thought they would be a little bit thicker, but I was actually surprised, happily surprised that they weren't, because I think these would be great to put through a die cut machine as well. And then as a final addition, I did add a quote chip. So I hope that I've given you some ideas for this really great freebie today over at scrapbook.com. Don't forget, in order to qualify for this freebie today, you do have to make a purchase over at their shop today. I will provide links to all the products that I've used, so it should be easy for you to pop on over to scrapbook.com. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button before you head out, because I do plan on doing a couple more videos to give you some ideas for some of the freebies over the 12 days of Christmas. All right, everyone, thanks for stopping by, and we'll see you again next time.